It's weird.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go.
And we are live. I have two guests with me this time. It's Marcel and Netcat, and I cannot speak because I'm dumb. But I'll share a cam. Net will not because he's a man who likes his anonymity. Uh,
Woohoo!
Hello. But anyway, so today we are talking about the Dark Tide duology, and this is my first time through, so most of my stuff is fresh, and wow, there is a lot to talk about here. A lot to talk about. So, first thoughts on the books. Great. Really good. Really like them. And I know you guys do, obviously, because you guys are like, you just told me in the previous, you guys are like the biggest fans of like X-Wing and Core and Horn. So, a continuation into this wonderful new era of Dark War. It's like, all right.
I mean,
so
in the future, there's only war. Oh wait,
these books are what, second and third in the NJO, and yet they're really like a continuation of the X-Wing books, Jedi, the Hand of Thrawn duology. Like, there's so much here that
it's within those that universe of books between Tim Zahn and Michael Stackpole, and it's not the first time they've worked together. Interlude at Darknell and Side Trip. Anyone?
Oh yeah, of course.
The short stories, but like within that whole, it's also a continuation of what was just gone through in Vector Prime.
Yep.
And the Invasion comics, they do not include anything even semi-connected to that, so I understand once again why Matt Wilkins despises them. I don't like them either.
Yeah, because they're supposed to take place between Vector Prime and Dark Tide Ruin, right? No, sorry, Dark Tide Onslaught.
The third volume takes place between Onslaught and Ruin. The first two take place before it, and like, I guess you could make the argument that Phalia doesn't want to do anything, but this is really making him look bad in the public eye in the comics.
Yeah.
So like, you'd think by Dark Tide he'd actually want to do something, but no. Hang on, let me check my notes. I'll be right back. I got Let me check my notes, guys. Okay, so yeah, Borsk Phalia is useless.
Yeah,
and I'm serious. Like,
is such a great character because I hate him, but I love to hate Borsk Phalia.
You love to hate him. We all love to hate him.
Yes. So when you say that you hate him, you have to make it clear that you love to hate him too, because you don't hate him because he's a badly made character. You hate him because he's a character that's made to be hated.
He really is. Like, and that was established, far back as far back as the X-Wing books and the Thrawn trilogy. So
which book was it where he was punched in the face?
I believe it's Iceheart's Revenge, and it is done by
that would track
one of the greatest characters that's ever. Because again, his introduction was in Back to War, Booster Tarek.
Yeah,
I love Booster.
Booster's great.
No, it's what he did in Iceheart's Revenge. I could not stop laughing while I was listening to it because I'm like, yes, and he literally tells him, "I can be bought, but not by someone like you."
It's so funny.
so like, you're telling me he's a pirate with standards? Sadly, he's not in this book, and that's a wasted opportunity, in my opinion. He's mentioned, but not in these books yet. I still hold out hope that he'll pop up, but I could be wrong.
Don't you worry.
You're a disgrace to the game, Yugi. Oh, hi, Nihilus. That's a buddy of mine.
Oh, I
Net knows him.
Hey, Nihilus, how you doing?
Anyway, so yeah, the Borsk Phalia and his little group council pretty much blocking Leia at every turn, telling them she's on a power trip. The gall of this man, after what he's done in the past, after what they did for his people, the absolute gall of this man.
The thing is, like, we've been here before in the expanding universe. Like, I'm reading Black Fleet Crisis right now, or rereading, I should say. And even in that book, like in the first book, they're accusing Leia of being on a power trip. You know, she's the daughter of Vader. It's like, how
and that was done by done by that nobody Senator Paramus.
Paramus, yeah.
I understood his fears, but at the same time, like, do you know who you're talking to? Have you ever actually tried having a conversation with the woman? She's not power hungry.
She lost her planet. She's given up so much of her life and her energy and her time to the New Republic and the rebellion before it. And yet this guy out of nowhere has the audacity to, and Thalia too, like, has the audacity to accuse her of a power trip. Like, she's worked with him for so long. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's
scummy politics.
Well, again, like, she's not even asking for power. She's telling them, please do something about this. She's like, I don't want a power trip. I left politics so I could spend more time with my family. I'm telling you to do something. Like, nah, this is your usual power trip. Don't. Is this what you're doing now, Leia? Seriously, this is embarrassing. I'm like, what are you doing? There's heavy spoilers for this.
Nihilus brings up, like, she lost, you know, basically a member of the family, right? Like Chewbacca. Although I always felt like Leia just didn't care for Chewbacca, and she never said it. But because throughout the
I know she mentioned in the comics there were times that she didn't like that Chewie was taking Han away from her.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. But... It both in the novel and Thrawn trilogy comics, like, you know, there's Chewie, like, protecting her from the Nogri. I'm like, there's no way she doesn't consider him part of the family. She's just like, oh, you know, it's you know, the Wookiee best friend. You know, he takes up my husband's time because he's known him longer. You know, it's.
There could be a residual resentment without her disliking him.
For sure.
Yeah. It's not a major resentment. It's not like, you know, oh, I can't believe you're spending time with that Wookiee again. It's like, come on, Chewie, let me have a little time with my husband. Oh, we lost Marcel. He'll be back in a second, I'm guessing. But he probably bumped the wrong thing or something.
I mean, I did that earlier, before.
But that was outside the chat. But
I know, but I mean, same thing can happen.
Hang on, there he is. All right, add to stage.
Communication.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you bump there, Marcel, because net bumped it already. And I've hit this problem before on people's streams where I'll accidentally hit the back button on something on my phone, and then all of a sudden,
yep.
Where did I go? Where did I go? But yeah, let's talk about, like, Han's state in this book, and even, like, Elagos is trying to cheer him up, and, like, nothing is working for him. He's like starved and depressed and wants to complete.
I just like to just say, before we quite got into that, just right for the end of the last book, just how metal I thought it was that it took a freaking moon to kill Chewie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Anybody who says Chewie's death,
but it took a moon to kill Chewie. That's what it took.
Anybody who says Chewie's death was not an honorable one, I'm like, what are you smoking?
Yeah.
It was the only way he really could have gone.
And he didn't have to die. He insisted on staying there to evacuate as many people as he could. He could have left. So it was a self-sacrifice as well.
Totally.
It was
the only reason he died. The only reason he died is because he threw Anakin to Han.
Yep.
He didn't have to go back for Anakin.
But because this is why Han, unfairly, yes, but why he focuses his anger at losing Chewie on Anakin.
Right.
Because he has in his mind that Anakin was traded for Chewie. Just at that core level.
Totally. Yeah, I still don't like his treatment because you're his father.
It is not fair. It is not fair at all. But as someone who works with people with mental issues, fear
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with this. This has to do
Yeah.
with primal things in your brain. And
one thing I do want to bring up, shift gears a little. Colonel Gavin Darklighter and Admiral Crayfee.
Right.
I like Crayfee. I wasn't sure what to make of him at first, but
Crayfee.
the Bothan impressed me because of how much, and I'll talk about it, but how much he stood up to Phalia.
Yeah. Well, it's a good. It shows that like not all Bothans are the same, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I knew that from Asir Sylar, but like Crayfee was like, oh yes, another good Bothan. Thank you.
But did you know that from Asir because she fakes her death?
Yeah, I didn't like that bit.
But with having Phalia being our main in viewpoint into the Bothans, and
which he has been most of the time.
Yeah, and him and his cronies, so his cronies are going to be the same sort that he is. So we get
the Vong are clear and present threats, and Phalia and the New Republic Council are all going, yes, Reaper's on there. Oh, yeah, Mass Effect reference right there. But of course, yes, Yuzon Vong, the unknown bioorganic threat, supposedly waiting beyond the rim. Oh, we've dismissed that claim.
But so we see Crayfee, and we keep on expecting to see some sort of retreat for political purposes or whatnot, and we get to actually see the brave part of the Bothans.
Oh yeah, no, that was.
And since we were kind of primed to expect a Bothan admiral to be pulling these shenanigans, it was almost that much of a surprise to see just how brave he was. And that was really
especially
good.
Since in the X-Wing books, was it like his father or his uncle who was a Crayfee who was like more in Phalia's pocket, and it actually ended up costing him his life.
Yeah,
because of how badly he miscalculated and died. So to see this Crayfee be like, yeah, I'm not that guy. That was, but it was interesting that he sent Gavin and Rogue Squadron to look through things, and there's that group of pirates they meet at the pretty close to the beginning of the book. I think it was like a couple chapters in, and the pirates are like, we encountered these weird asteroid-looking ships, and we're like, what are they? They're wiping out our people. Is like, all right, we want you to tell us everything you know, and I mean everything. And I did like that Leia, she's doing her part, obviously. That Leia goes to the outer rim, trying to go to the outer rim worlds like Dubrillion and Agamar, trying to rally people because like the New Republic has basically abandoned the outer rim at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like everybody's trying to convince these guys, like, no, these things are screwed. And Leia has that really epic speech on Agamar that everybody applauds, and she's got Jaina and who was it? Danny Quee.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so oh god, what am I thinking of? That's my brother in the background. Anyway,
one thing that I really liked though about like even going back to the Crayfee is like I was just reading Spectre of the Past and Vision of the Future, rereading them, and even in those books, like the Bothans are just portrayed as so unsympathetic, and I get why. Like they're but I understand there was like 100 ships in orbit around like Bothawui, like ready to blow it up because they were so upset about the Kamas document and that kind of thing. So I just think that they're very unsympathetic characters. So it's kind of nice that they have, like I think just a diversity of characters, showing like a honorable Bothan. It was nice to see Gavin Darklighter return because I feel like we haven't really seen him throughout most of the EU.
Yeah, and Neri Forge is still among his unit, so it's nice to at least have one left over from the old days.
And what I like about Gavin being around is that it's also tied to Biggs.
Yeah, no, Biggs' cousin.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't hear that much about Biggs, so it's just kind of nice to have the callback to Biggs.
Well, he does have a pretty good character, and I know you don't like them. And mind you, I'm messing with you, but he has a pretty good character arc in the Empire comics,
Okay,
and I mean like a
I,
really good
I
character
have
arc. And
read
it
the Dark
actually,
Empire. I know.
I'm not talking about Dark Empire. I'm talking about
Oh,
the Empire
Empire.
comic series.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Empire and its short-lived sequel, Rebellion, which I dispute with Matt Wilkins. In my opinion, those are really good comics.
I enjoyed them. I think Rebellion was a bit forgettable, but there were some arcs in Empire that were pretty good.
I liked Rebellion.
Like the whole was that with like the story with like Tank? I guess it was.
Yeah, Tank.
Yeah.
So
Colonel Sunburger.
Janek Sunburger. They give a name to Luke's friend Tank, who joined the Empire, and you get like that sort of divide between like, this childhood friend who's on the other side of the war, and he finds out that Biggs and Luke both are rebels, and he's got that divided loyalty going on because he's loyal to the Empire, he's loyal to his men, he's an actual good Imperial,
Right.
but doesn't just that's kind of like Suntir Fel. He's not like a tyrant, he's just doing his job.
Yeah, not everyone on the other side is brainwashed as an evil person number 3.
Yeah. And we see that no more. We'll get to him later, but we'll see that no more prominently than in Gilad Pelion. But
yes,
which Pelion, by the way, in this book is fantastic.
I like Pelion.
I love Pelion.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I'd like to talk about is the Jedi and how things have changed with them. How there's those two, and I finally remembered the character who was Kip Duran's Padawan that I couldn't remember from the first stream. Miko Reglia.
That's right. Yeah, I thought it was like Worth Skitter for some reason, but I think that's another Jedi.
No, Worth Skitter is a problem child.
Yeah,
and so's Ganner Rysode in this first book.
That's right, Ganner. This is, I think, his first appearance, or was he in Vector Prime?
No, this is Ganner Rysode's first appearance, and from the get-go, I did not like him. I still like Kip Duran, surprisingly, though, and the reason why is because
I've always liked
a lot of people. Well, here's the thing: a lot of people think that, like, in this book, because again, in iJedi, Stackpole really paints Kip in a real bad light. Mara too, and I did not like how they painted Kip in the Hand of Thrawn duology and iJedi. But this book actually paints Kip in a good way, at least for Onslaught anyway. Dark Tide, Ruin, it's a little bad. Because we can't be too nice to Kip Duran. But no, in this one,
everybody.
I have no clue why.
In universe hates Kip. Yeah.
Just to remind me,
well,
it's the one that it played with the sun.
Yeah, he used the Sun Crusher while he was under the influence of Exar Kun.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. I just want to make sure I was remembering the right one. Yeah, I like Kip.
Oh, Scott Johnson's here. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Scott.
Anyway,
hello.
Yeah, Scott's cool. Anyway, so yeah, there's this divide between the Jedi, between people who are backing up Luke, which, Corran, who's finally grown up, he's finally, he's finally cast aside that Death Star sized ego of his to back up Luke in this argument. And Kip Duran, this time around, Stackpole manages to paint him in a very positive light. Yeah. The reason why he's so determined to fight the Vong, and it actually made me feel sorry for Kip, is because he still feels guilt over Karita, which I already knew he felt guilt, because there's a short story called Simple Tricks I think it's in Tales of the New Republic.
Yeah.
And a woman aims a gun at Kip, and he literally is like, "Go ahead and do it." Like, because not like he's in like a mental hell prison type thing where he's like Like, my life is already garbage. I already feel a ton of guilt over my brother's death, over what happened to Kurita. Even though he destroyed the Sun Crusher almost died in a redemptive arc, but no, we went too easy on Kip Duran because he didn't go behind prison bars.
Yeah, I mean, even Mara Jade mentions it in the Hand of Thrawn duology. She's like, you basically gave him a pass. I know, like, Corrin's upset about it in I Jedi, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, you have no right to be. You worked with the Empire.
Yeah, I was about to say, Mara.
You put Booster Tarek on Kessel. I will never forgive you for that.
You're talking about Corrin, yeah.
And also
being a bit holier than I was like, let's remember what you were doing.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Yeah,
it was so weird. And there's a discussion in Vision of the Future where she's like, or Luke tells her, he's like, yeah, you weren't doing it using the dark side. You were serving the Emperor. So that's not the dark side. And I was like, what are you talking about?
That's exactly the dark side.
You still use the dark side.
It's like she wasn't doing it for herself, and like the dark side's inherently selfish or something like that.
Yeah,
it makes no
sense. That's not how that works.
Here's the most interesting thing in Dark Empire. And again, I guess this is going to be hello, Maria. Hello. Oh, I know her. I know her from Twitter. Anyway, she's like a little sister. Anyway, so my biggest issue with this concept is that Corrin and I Jedi kind of gave Luke a pass for what happened in Dark Empire, but you can't give Kip Duran this, a kid who grew up on Kessel. I'm like, there you are judging kids from Kessel again.
Yeah,
just like you did in X-Wing. I'm like, can you please pull your head out of your butt for 5 minutes, dude?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why there's a lot of I have a lot of issues with. But Kip has finally grown up in this book, and he's on the opposite side of Kip Duran for the right reason. And again, I understand both sides of it. Kip believes the Jedi need to be more proactive and working in the Outer Rim. Luke is, we need to rein ourselves in, because if we don't hold ourselves accountable, then we're just doing whatever, and how do we fight the dark side in ourselves if we're just doing whatever, unaccounted for, I guess. But I can't understand both sides of the argument. And then Ganner, like, I don't know, like, it feels like he practically threatens Corrin and his kid. He doesn't actually, but it feels like it.
Yeah.
I remember there's a scene in Champions of the Force where Luke welcomes Kip back like a prodigal son to the Academy. I think that actually gave closure for what Kip did. Yeah, it kind of does, which makes what happens in or what's talked about in I Jedi and the Hand of Thrawn duology kind of moot.
Look, if we could have redemption for Vader, who committed far more atrocities than Kip Duran did, then I feel like we can have redemption for Kip too. And we
also have redemption for Luke, who killed rebels while he was under Palpatine's sway. But no, nobody likes to bring up that.
Right. Or he killed, I was reading today in Black Fleet book 2, Shield of Lies. He talks to Akana about how he killed like over 1 million people on the first Death Star.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
no, yeah. I mean, yeah, most of them were Imperials, but like it's not all that different from what Kip did.
But like, they weren't all stormtroopers. Like, some of them were technicians, and some of them were
some of them were just assigned to that place.
Are we going all clerks on this?
Kind of, yeah. I'm just joking. We don't have to.
Not independent contractor. No, but like, seriously, like, there were some of them were just like working their day jobs.
No, I get that, but still. Come on.
Yeah, okay. I know the clerk's counter argument.
Yeah. And then there's still kind of a divide with how certain things. I like that Anakin was finally kind of on Luke's side when it came to how things were going.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like in the previous book he was on Kip's side, and then he lost Chewie, and he's like, no, I need to back my uncle up, because this is we can't just act without consequences. And although he still had something he needed to learn, which I'm actually glad, and that brings to Luke putting Mara in his care because of her condition.
Right.
And I brought it up already, but something Jonathan brought up to me in the previous stream was like how Mara kind of acts like the disease is her kind of like burden to carry, and I'm like, yeah, when people are like when they kind of revert back to old behavior, because like she'd kind of grown past this by like Survivor Quest, but she was kind of reverting, and in this book she's kind of gone back to her regular self,
Right.
where she realizes I can't do a lot of the stuff I used to do, and she even teaches Anakin when they go to Dantooine, for some R&R, so she can kind of get better.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting dynamic. The Mara Anakin. It was good for Anakin to get away from his family for a bit, considering what had happened with Chewie. Yeah. I saw Scott had wrote in the comments. Does everyone know about Kip destroying Karita? Was it common knowledge? A good question. I would think it would be.
I would think it would be too, because they had him in a public trial.
Yeah.
Then if you crash, just try to come back. We'll make it work.
No, by crashing, by crashing, I mean with me being sick recently, I'm about to go, boom, myself. I know it doesn't sound like I am, but I kind of go from full speed to down. So
I get you. If you have to go, I get it. It's gonna miss some important points with this, but yeah.
No, I know.
But
I didn't intend to, but I'm not feeling that.
I get you. You're still under the weather.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of why I'm trying to speed through this a little bit. But yeah, there's the whole Mara and Anakin and her showing him you can't just rely on the Force. You've got to do things more practical. You've got to actually grab things with your arms and move like a normal. Oh, hey, Andres. That's not being upset or nonchalant. That's just me saying. Anyway,
I really like that about Mara, though, because it's consistent with her characterization. Like, she doesn't like to over rely on the Force, right? She really prioritizes kind of being practical about things, and I think that was like her whole point to Luke in the duology. Like, that's when they fell in love, or I guess they were always kind of somewhat in love with one another, but like when they finally like get together, like she gets him away from like this like Bantam era God mode Luke into more of like a practical Luke, and now she's teaching,
which is good. I'm just not a big fan of her calling him out.
For sure.
When she's again like she's trying to get a speck. I used the biblical analogy. She tries to get a speck out of his eye when she's got a huge wooden plank in hers.
Oh, for sure.
But you could actually see that as she knows what she's done.
I'm sorry you couldn't explain balance in the Force. Yeah, I was supposed to do that on someone else's stream because I have to explain. I might have to make a video, but I have to explain how balance in the Force works to people who don't seem to know how the balance works.
You and I may actually disagree on that one a little bit, but that's not for now.
Balance is not equal light and dark. It's balance is restoring the light.
I know.
Yeah, that's what I figured out. But it makes logical sense if you think about it. But I'm not gonna get into that right now.
There's more than one way to look at it, and there's evidence for multiple different viewpoints.
Yeah. But so we
but what I was trying to say is that with the speck in the eye and all stuff, you could also see it as Mara being able to look at what she has done and being like, don't do what I've done. There's that as well.
Yeah, and then we have Luke and Jason going back to Belkadon.
Yeah.
To see if there's more they can find. And this book does this particular, and this is not one of my favorite things because it did it 3 times. It shows Luke and Jason watching these slaves, that the Vong are like kind of beating on and working over, And they're like, we need to do nothing because we need to gather more evidence. We need to keep our eye out for this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah, the other thing that I really like that, like, sort of pairing off of like Luke and Jason going to like Balkadan, and I think what you had like Ganner and Korn going to Bimiel.
Yeah, they went to Bimiel, and then this is when they do it the second time. It's them watching the Vong beat slaves, and nothing happens. They do nothing. And then they're the third time with these villagers being attacked by the Vong on Dantooine with Anakin, and something finally happens. I'm like, did you really need to illustrate this like twice before you actually did something? I'm just like, it seems like I get that they're trying to do a sort of same time thing.
Yeah.
And then you have Korn and Ganner having like this whole sort of like difference on how things should be. You have Jason doubting himself. He's like, what should my path be? Maybe I need to walk away from the Jedi and go be off and meditate. And like Luke's telling him, no, you need to be in the moment. You need to be here right now. A war is starting, and this is not the time for you to be having a midlife crisis at 16.
All I can say is wait for it.
Oh, I know. It's coming. And he kind of gives it up in the next book, sort of.
I can't say anything. Never mind.
Yeah, I know.
There's so many things that I want to say about like everybody, like Ganner, Korran. Anyway, I can't say anything.
I know.
I know about Ganner's "You Shall Not Pass" moment. I'm not there yet. Okay. I'm getting there. But yeah. So you had all that stuff with Korran and Ganner on Bimiel, which was good. I kind of liked that they had like opposing viewpoints and they were talking to those like Imperial Academy cadets. Jason gets captured by the Vong, and he learns about like the whole, which they elaborate on more in Ruin, but like the Embrace of Pain.
Yeah, he gets put in the Embrace of Pain, I think.
He did, and then Luke had to be the one to bail him out because again he tries to loosen his arm, and then the restraints tighten, and something. It was like one of the things on like the Vong cuffs was like digging into his spine or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's how the Embrace of Pain works. And you notice, like, when it comes to the Embrace of when it comes to the Embrace of Pain, it's like only enough. It's like only enough so that you feel the pain, not enough to kill you or make it worse or anything. Just so you feel incredible pain.
Yeah, I mean the Yuuzhan Vong are a masochistic society, right? So you can almost imagine that they've perfected torture techniques over like millennia, essentially.
Well, they were using the Yamos just to break Miko Wrigley in the previous book.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know. And you got to think, like, because I know there's like a Yuuzhan Vong reference in Knights of the Old Republic, right? They've been around that long, like.
Yeah, no, they've been planning for a long time, and for anybody who's read the comic Crimson Empire, that is technically chronologically Nomenor's first appearance.
That's right, but that's only like what, like a decade before the invasion, or
15
years. Like KOTOR is like 4,000 years before, and they're still around.
Yeah, and then there's a few references in the prequel era, like Maul Lockdown. He's fighting one of the Maul's fighting one of the Vong, and then
that's crazy. That like came out of nowhere, eh? The Vong fight.
Rogue Planet, like the only thing, like, because again, you're just going through this planet, and I know this planet has more significance later on, but like the only interesting thing was Vergir meeting the Far Outsiders, the Vong.
Are you gonna do a Rogue Planet stream as well? You should.
I might, but I don't remember much of that book. Like I remember a lot of details, but I don't remember too much of that book because I found it boring.
Oh, you read it. You're reading chronologically. No wonder.
Yeah, I've already gone through most of. I went through most of the past books, but I might do a reread and talk about it on a separate stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is first time through this. Off topic rant. Yu-Gi-Oh! Sacred Cards back again. Oh jeez, come on, Nihilus. But Well, here's something I didn't see coming.
I honestly think I have to bow out. I'm just kind of
all right, man,
swaying back and forth right now.
Well, thanks.
Sorry.
Thanks for popping in anyway, Net.
I would love to come on another time when I'm not feeling like crap.
I get you, man.
Feel better.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later, Net. Get better, man.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. It is what it is, you know?
Yep. See ya. Bye.
See ya.
But yeah, one of the most wildest details I remember was Jaina suddenly joining Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, like that's.
No, I loved it too because I kind of expected. Okay, this is where I read Rogue Planet release order still found it boring. Agree with you there, Scott. It's very boring. Other than the whole Vergere reference, I think it's very boring.
Yeah, Greg Bear. I've read at least a few of his books now because I read his
Rest in peace.
His Halo books. Rest in peace for sure. And I think he's a good author. I think just sometimes his prose can be a bit confusing at times. Like I have trouble visualizing what's going on, and I think that was the case with Rogue Planet. But if I remember, release order wise, I thought it came out after Dark, like right after Dark Tide. Rogue Planet.
Hello, Darth Sidious.
Hello, good to see you.
Says hi, Reverend Kissed. But yeah, no, I really liked it, and I liked her friendship with Annie Capison.
Yeah,
and
that's a throwback.
Yeah, like just
because like where would they have met? Was it the Corellian trilogy that they met?
Wait, was that Gariel's daughter?
Is it not, or is it a different character?
I think it's a different character. She has a similar last name.
Oh man, I thought
that was one of my suspicions was Gariel's daughter, but I looked it up and it's completely different. There's Capison and Capison.
She's from Corellia. It's like a completely different person. That's so funny.
I think that's right, Marcel. Yeah, no, she is from Corellia. Yeah.
First appearance, Dark Tide. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so I knew Jaina was eventually going to have like a pilot thing to do.
Spoilers.
But I didn't expect. I expected her to be put in the New Republic Squadron. I just didn't expect straight up Rogue Squadron. I'm like, okay, so
nepotism at work for you.
Definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't she 16?
Yeah, she is. So she's joining very young.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess Anakin Skywalker like blew up a Trade Federation ship when he was like 9 or whatever, 8.
Yeah. And then I forgot to touch on this, but Dubrillion and how like Lando's basically losing his planet and business right there because the Vong keep attacking.
We saw it happen on Naklon in like the Thrawn trilogy. Like he's just bad luck. Lando has bad luck.
Oh yeah, except for Gem Diver Station. Gem Diver Station seems to be like the only one he seems to be doing really well.
Right.
Which surprised me. But then again, his wife is running that, so it makes sense she has better luck.
Yeah. Didn't he also was he the one who owned Hologram Fun World in the Jedi Prince?
Yeah,
book?
he did own Hologram Fun World. It was actually referenced in Galaxy of Fear, which Galaxy of Fear, great book series. For
sure. Really good continuity.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely. I liked it because it was like a guest star each Gem Diver Station to Stonks. Yes,
that's right. Just going up.
Yeah, your stonks go up with Gem Diver. That's probably why Lando has any money in his pocket. It's because
Gem Diver Station.
I'm just skimming a little off with Gem Diver Station, baby. But yeah, Dubrillion is just getting hit. He's like, it feels like they're wasting like the weaker waves of our troops, of their troops on us, and they're kind of weeding out the wheat from the chaff of their own by having them do these runs,
like slave races at them, basically.
That wasn't, as far as I'm aware, that wasn't until Dantooine. Right, we're getting to that. Which, by the way, technically, if you go continuity-wise, technically the slave races appear in Invasion first.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, like, Invasion came years later, and so they're not referenced.
Yeah, I know.
We'll never know what happened to Finn Galfridian. Never.
I don't want to know what happened to Finn Galfridian because He's a nothing burger.
Yeah.
But oh, excuse me. Anyway, there was a there was like I guess there was a reference because like one of the background Weequays looked like Hondo Onaka, so I'm like, oh, I guess we know what happened to Hondo in the EU.
Can you imagine he's still around like decades later, and
then he becomes a Vong thrall slave? Yeah. That would suck.
What a terrible fate. But it would kind of be in line with this book, because in this book, I think there's potentially like contender for one of the grisliest deaths in the entire expanded universe. Not, I say this book because I'm referring to the duology as two, but it's really in the second book, Ruin.
Well, it can also be two.
Yeah.
or
wow.
one book.
Look at that's the SFBC one.
Yeah, it's the hardcover. I've been trying to get the hardcovers.
Wow, good for you.
I've got a couple on download order. I'm not getting like the singles like Balance Point and Star by Star right away because you can get those anytime. I'm getting the ones that are specifically the duology and the Force Heretic trilogy because they're harder to get.
Did the Force Heretic trilogy come in? All three came in one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, I sort of liked Invasion. Well, I'll say one positive thing about Invasion. I think I said this last stream. It is a perfect visual representation of how horrible the war is, and it does that job very. Because you see a dude get torn in half. The art style, although I'm not the biggest fan of it because I've seen it a couple times in Legacy, and I didn't think it was a good art style then. But it does the Vong justice. It really is, as far as like how they look and how their weapons look. I feel like it in that instance it did the Vong a lot of justice.
Don't put that on your neck.
I was just happy to see the Vong in art format for like one of the first times, and I can't believe that like it took that long for us to get a Yuuzhan Vong comic.
Yeah, no, it's. I wish that they had been better with the continuity though, and I guess from what he told me, Randy Stradley wasn't even involved in that point because Matt seems to think he was involved by that point, and I talked to him. He says, "No, this was Mike Richardson by this point."
Right, I remember. I think we had talked to him at the con a couple years ago.
Yeah, because I asked him. I asked him like, were you involved in some of this? He's like, no, I was involved at least until like obviously he did the entire Dark Time series, and he was involved with the first 2 volumes of Crimson Empire. But by Crimson Empire 3 and Invasion, he pretty much kind of checked out.
Right,
because he's
like, he was still editor of Dark Horse though at that point, right? Like,
I know, but I don't think he was like. I don't think he wanted to really retread old ideas anymore.
Right.
It's like, we kind of did this and it doesn't really like nobody really like remembers it because by the time the 3rd volume of Crimson Empire came out, nobody really cared all that much.
Yeah.
Because we had been waiting years and years and years for it to come out. And that's kind of how I felt about the series as a whole. Like the first 2 volumes were top tier in my opinion. Second one was not as good as the first, but it was still really good. And then the 3rd one was just okay. I'm like,
really strange. It was really weird at points.
It wasn't bad. It was just kind of that's an okay ending, I guess, for the character.
I know we're like way off topic now, but one thing I will say about the 3rd volume of Crimson Empire is that it's like the portrayal of Luke. He's like really like dour and kind of like mean almost. And I'm like, that's really consistent with how he's portrayed in the Crystal Star, which takes place in and around the same time. It's like the same year or the year after or something like that. Well, yeah,
he just got over Callista, just got over the breakup with Callista, so he's going to be a little dour and depressed anyway.
I love it. I'm just
that was good consistency. Yeah,
it's good consistency for sure. But yeah, I mean, going back to the Dark Tide duology, when I was listening to your last stream, I was like, I like Vector Prime and I like R.A. Salvatore as an author, and I've read up like a whole bunch of his books. But I think that it was the Dark Tide duology that really like turned some heads and like made me think like, oh man, like Like, I know they killed Chewie in the first book for sure.
Yeah.
But like, this war is going to be brutal.
Oh yeah, no, and it's because one of the things I wanted to get to was the stuff that's kind of because after Luke rescued Jason, he kind of had a vision of like Mara and Anakin in danger on Dantooine, so they end up going to Dantooine to rescue them, and Anakin kind of has to protect Mara because nobody else can. And then Mara pretty much tells Luke, "You gotta let me be in. You gotta let me be in some of the fighting because this, like, it's the only way I can." The Vong War is Star Wars now. Yeah, kind of. It's a lot worse actually. It's like World War II actually. More violent, more bloody.
It's supposed to be World War II in terms of like the turning of the tide, and then the good guys start winning, that kind of thing.
So is the Great Galactic War. No, the Great Galactic War is like a Cold War. That was like what we had with the Russians. But
wait, which one's the Great Galactic War? I always get them confused. Is that the one with
the Great Galactic War is the one between the Sith Empire and the Galactic Republic in the MMO.
Okay.
For the Old Republic storyline.
I mean, you know, in terms of just brutal, like terrible war that, you know, I think by the end of it, something like, this might be a spoiler for you actually, so I'm not going to say what the body count is, but it's a lot.
I know it's a few trillion at least.
Yeah, and that's just like a mind-bogglingly big number.
Well, it's World War II had like a huge death toll. It was like 50 something billion or something like that.
Wait, did you say billion?
Was it billion or trillion? I can't remember.
What, World War II?
Yeah, World War II.
My guy, there's like only 7 billion people on the planet today.
No, it's the maybe it might have just been million then.
Million.
Because you had when you count the war, you have to count all the casualties.
Yeah.
Even the ones on the enemy side.
Yeah. So I think it was. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so yeah, it would make sense. You have a galaxy-wide conflict. It's gonna be late trillions, early zillions.
Yeah,
depending on how far the war went. But yeah, like and then you had Corran and Ganner on Biniel, and Corran trying to free those people from the embrace and pain. So he starts cutting himself with his own lightsaber, burning himself. I'm like, wow. And then his arm's useless, and then he tries to fight off Vong, and he's like, "Oh, it's like, is this it? Is this how I die?" 6,000 bazillion, yeah, probably.
This is so they're there to like free those scientists, right? Is that correct? On Bimiel?
Yeah, because they had to get those scientists off the planet because the Vong were coming in force.
And the scientists they were studying what, like the remains of Mongol Shai, Shadao Shai's brother?
Yeah. It was like it wasn't his brother, it was like his great grandfather or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But his a couple of his cousins were killed by Corran on that planet before he passed. Well, he gets, I forgot the name of those weird ball rats that are on the planet. But he manages to cut down one Vong that was more eager, and then the other Vong, he got the rat to attack, and then that's when Corran finally collapsed. And Corran's like, "Oh, this is it. This is how I'm going to die. This is how I'm going to go out." And then, of course, obviously, he gets picked up by Ganner Rysode because he's like, "No, you ain't dying on me, old man." And there was kind of I kind of liked that Ganner saved him because there was. I think he had kind of developed a bit of a mutual respect for Corran, even if he still fundamentally disagreed with him.
Yeah, that's why I like Ganner, because I do think that he showed a lot of character development over the course of New Jedi Order.
Well, I saw a little bit here. There's a little bit more in Ruin that I absolutely love, though.
Yeah,
but sure. Now we get to the Battle of Dantooine. And like that was some gory stuff there.
Yeah.
And even it surprised me to see even Elagos firing at Vong troops and Vong thralls, trying to save as many lives as he could by killing the enemy. I'm like, this is like a pacifist right here, and he realizes that these guys at least at this moment, cannot be negotiated with. So he's using a turret to gun them down.
You know, it reminds me of like Rambo 4 when like I think he's there with like a missionary or whatever, and then the missionary ends up like attacking and killing someone like closer to the end of the movie because even though he's like a pacifist, like circumstances basically
has pushed him into it's kill or be killed type of thing.
Andre says, does anyone remember when Mara criticized Luke for calling himself a Jedi Master in Hand of Thrawn Duology? And yes, because I just read that.
That is not my favorite criticism.
I think the criticism though was like he called himself a Jedi Master right out of the gate or whatever, or something like that. I think that was the criticism.
Well, who knew more about the Jedi at that point than him? Well, nobody.
Totally, yeah. I mean, you can make the argument like it's kind of weird because like Cam Solusar was a Jedi Knight, right? But he had fallen to the dark side, and so he required rehabilitation. Whereas, someone like
which, by the way, anybody who hasn't read Lightsider, get on that.
It's fantastic. It's my favorite Tom Veitch work of all time.
I've said this before. It gave me something I didn't think I wanted, which was a character for Cam Solusar.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is why it made me even happier when he ended up marrying Tion. Which it's mentioned that they're married in these books, but it doesn't go into detail, obviously, on how that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like I think it's in like an insider issue where they do like Luke's New Jedi Order, and they like profile some of the Jedi, or maybe it's all of the Jedi in his New Jedi Order, like during the NJO series. I don't think it's all of the Jedi, can't be, but I forget which issue it is. If anyone,
most of the prominent ones, anyway.
Yeah, most of the prominent ones, and I thought it was like super interesting to read. But yeah, I think that Ruin with like the Battle of Dantooine was like the last part of the book, right? If I recall correctly.
Yeah, it was near the end. The Battle of Dantooine was near the end of the book because they have to. This is the big wrap up battle at the end of Onslaught. Yeah, and of course, Ruin has a great one too, but we'll get to that later. Like this one was bloody, and you have Jason thinking like, are we really doing any good? I'm just slaughtering Vog thralls down here, because he's got that, again, 16-year-old having a midlife crisis.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird the way that he was portrayed in the beginning of NJO. I'm probably gonna get like attacked for this afterwards, but
I know there's more of it later.
Yeah, I just like for a 16-year-old, he's to be so I don't know.
Veitch called him a Jedi Master. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think Zahn and Veitch had different ideas on how to progress Luke. Zahn wrote Luke as experienced Jedi still training, while Veitch wrote Luke as an all-powerful Jedi. Yeah, that was kind of where the disconnect was, but there was also the connection, because there are subtle connections there.
Scott says that Cam should have been Grandmaster because of his seniority. I don't disagree. But Luke is, of course, like the founder of the New Jedi Order, right?
So you've
Grandmaster.
Well, it just I wouldn't make Cam Grandmaster, but I would give him Mace Windu's position, which is head of the Order. Because Yoda was a Grandmaster, but he technically wasn't in charge of the Order in the prequels. Mace Windu was. He just preferred to defer to Yoda because he was a more seasoned wizard. So again, you could kind of create that dynamic where Luke is still the Jedi Grandmaster, and you could list Cam Solusar as head of the Order.
I didn't realize that there was a distinction between those two things. Is that's in the EU? That's
Yeah. Well, I know they did it in canon, but I also think the current canon, but I also think they did it in the EU, because a lot of like the thing seems to be coming specifically with Mace Windu and Yoda in this. When people ask questions, they notice they don't talk to the other council members. They don't talk to Plo Koon or Obi-Wan or anybody else that's on that council. It's specifically those two right there.
Right.
And that's because
Scott brings up a good point. He says, when I first started reading NJO, I wasn't 16 yet, so 16 seemed old to me at the time. Yeah, I was 12 when I started reading NJO, and specifically these two books, I was still 12, and Ruin had a huge effect on me. A huge effect. It was maybe the most brutal book I've ever read in my life up to that point. Yeah, I don't recall, like, so for me, like, I said this off stream, but I haven't read these books, and I would say what?
Yeah, you haven't read them in a while, and I know Net hadn't read them either. He had to read a synopsis to remember where he was.
But I remember these books as clearly as one can remember a book that they've read in their life, because they had such a huge impact on me, and also because I love Michael Stackpole. I think he's a fantastic author.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
No offense, I think Aaron Alston is a little better, and not in a, and I think even Michael might agree, because Aaron took more risks.
I used to think that when I was a kid, and now as an adult, I actually prefer Stackpole to Alston.
I get that.
Although Starfighters of Adamar is still incredible. It's such a great book.
Oh, my favorite character from Starfighters of Adamar is Wes Jansen. He is.
Yeah. Oh, he's in his prime.
I love how he screws with Hobby in that book. Yeah. It's so funny. Maybe they won't notice. Won't notice what? Oh, nothing. I'm sure they won't see it. Won't see what?
So good.
But yeah, so now we get to Crayfee and Darklighter, because by this point they've got enough evidence that Borsk Phalia can't ignore it anymore.
Sure.
And Crayfee literally threatens Borsk Phalia. I'll take the military and we'll go off and govern other worlds. We'll leave you guys here holding the bag. We'll go off and prepare for the Vong.
Yeah.
Like, he literally threatens to split the military from the political side. He's like, and Borsk has to agree to his terms, because he's like, because he's rocking a hard place at this point. He's like, they've gotten to the point where they can't ignore the evidence. The Vong are an actual threat. They can't pretend they're not a problem. They're hitting like more Outer Rim worlds, like Dubrillion and Dantooine, and they know it's just going to get worse from here, unless they actually do something. And the military kind of has, like, Gavin and him pretty much forcing, like, no, this is how we're going to do things. If you don't like it, suck a fat one.
What was the thing in the comments earlier? Suck a lightsaber.
Nyla said wants Borsk Phalia to suck a lightsaber.
Yeah, the active end.
Yeah, the only downside I had to Onslaught, and this is the only downside, like, and you got it a little bit at the end during the epilogue before Ruin started. A lack of POV for the Vong. Now, mind you, they're switching up a bit, but this is the first time in a book that Michael has not shown. Although you might say differently when it comes to iJedi, but as far other than iJedi, as far as I'm concerned, this is the first time he's done like a multiple POV book. You're following these characters and you're following these characters, and he didn't include the villains in it until the very, very end.
Right. I think that's probably deliberate, though, right? Like the Vong at this point are supposed to be very mysterious.
I don't know. It just to me they weren't mysterious, because I went through Vector Prime, and even though the Vong are mysterious a bit, they're also pretty straightforward about what they are and what they do.
Which is even why Elagos is. I mean, I know I'm skipping ahead to Ruin, but like, his decision to try and broker peace is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
like, there's no point.
I looked at it right there, going like, this is going to kill him. Like, either he's going to they're going to have to go in and rescue him, or he's going to die.
Did you know that he died before reading this?
No, book? I didn't. But I actually thought, then this is my original theory, was that they were going to kill Elagos, but they were going to send back like a wounded Elagos that was actually going to be a Vong in disguise. That was my initial thought, that what was gonna happen. So
instead, they sent him back in body parts.
They didn't send him back in body parts. They sent him back whole. But he was something else by that point.
Covered in gems.
His eyes were gems. His bones were gold and like shiny. And
that scene was like childhood's end for me.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It didn't break like it didn't break my heart the way Chewie's did, but I was upset at it. I'm like, oh, I liked Ellie. Like he was. I'm not normally big on pacifist characters. I've never been a huge. You've seen me rant about Duchess Satine before.
Sure. But the thing about like I think this affected me more than Chewie's death, and I know like Elagos is like just a random kind of like minor EU character, but the thing is that like Chewie died doing something heroically, like he died like saving the day and stuff like that. Elagos's death was so, and it had to be because it was like it just wanted to that it was used to underscore the brutality of the Yuuzhan Vong, but his death was so pointless in the grand scheme of things.
I disagree. I think he was very brave to do what he did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I knew this was gonna either end with him severely wounded, exchanged, or in a body bag.
Yeah.
And he sort of was in a body bag by the end of it. And again, we are going a bit ahead.
It's just so important to talk about. So
no, I agree. That was going to be one of my points eventually, but I might as well talk about it. But Corrin just kind of breaks down when that happened, and I should talk about his dynamic with Shadao Shai too, as well as with Shadao Shai and Dane Lian, and just again, Shadao Shai straight up says, "I'm a military division of the Vong." He's no nonsense.
Yeah.
So to see him speaking with a pacifist, even though like he's causing him pain, there's kind of like a buddy vibe there, or at least like a civil vibe to that.
Yeah.
That I thought was kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, so he's a military man, but he's at the same time he's still like kind of a philosopher.
Yeah.
I guess maybe in the same way Sun Tzu was.
Sure.
Where he's, again, art of war. So he's made it clear that he does not like that Nominor went first.
Right. Do they?
And of course, yeah. Go ahead.
Remind me for his ancestor Mongol Shai. Did they explain how he came to be on, like his bones came to be on that planet? Was he like an advanced scout or something?
Yeah, he was. He was like looking into something, but he died on the planet, and that's why he demanded that Corrin return his bones.
Right.
Also, well, he demanded that Corrin return the bone, and the whole reason he did Elagos like that is because, like, this is how you're supposed to decorate your dead when they die.
Right. So then was he, from his perspective, paying Elagos like some kind of, like, was he doing like a tribute to, or was he paying him respect by doing that to his body and sending it back?
Yeah. It's like to anybody else that would be like atrocious, but to the Vong, like, look how we've glorified his flesh.
Wow, that's so like, messed up.
I know. Again, we're talking about religious, zealous sadists that because they think life and existence, which in a sense they're right, life and existence is kind of pain, but not to that extreme where you need to spend every waking moment hurting and torturing yourself and others.
Well, they fetishized it, right? Yeah, they fetishized pain. Yeah,
and that's actually referenced in Boba Fett: A Practical Man. And Boba Fett was like, these guys are addicts. He's like, except that in this case, their pain, their drug is pain.
Yeah,
he's like, I have no patience for addicts.
So when these books first came out, and I was reading them, like as a kid, I would be on like the Force.net message boards, and there would be people who would come on there and say, these books are not Star Wars. This is not Star Wars. This is like, I don't know what this is, but it's not Star Wars. And I totally disagree, but I can understand where that sentiment came from, because they're so dark compared to a lot of the EU. Like now we've had like something like Dark Times, right? Like that's pretty dark. The first couple arcs are very dark and stuff like that. But like,
oh yeah, Bomo Greenbark was one of my favorite characters just because of what happened to him in the first arc of that comic.
Heartbreaking. But like when you think about it,
but not as heartbreaking as Berserk. Sorry, I had to plug that.
I love Berserk. But when you think about like for at the time, like nothing had ever been this dark in the EU before to this extent. And I think that as much as you had, again, I'm going to say it, the death of Chewie in Vector Prime, that was more like shocking. The death of Elagos was just just straight up depressing for me.
I get it. Believe me, I do. Because I was again, I wasn't like weeping, but I was upset at the death of Elagos. I was like, because I felt Corrin's pain. I'm like, this guy had done nothing to deserve this, and they did this to him. And it actually kind of speaks volume, and we'll get to it later, but volumes of how Corrin is as a character, and it's kind of what Michael Stackpole was trying to tell me at Legends Con. But there's also Shadao Shai and Dane Lien, his little like background toady, and
Lieutenant, yeah.
And you find out he's working for somebody else. I won't say who it is yet, because I want to get to that when we talk about Ithor.
Sure.
For anybody who's, and to be fair, this character was actually also referenced in Invasion as well. So I guess that's his official introduction. But if you go chronologically,
no, but, you can never go chronologically. Always a publication order, because like that, the fact that he was referenced in Invasion just takes all the fun out of this.
A little bit, yes, but at the same time, like I can kind of understand, because I did things chronologically and I could work things out easily enough. Like for example, in Young Jedi Knights when they had the Shadow Academy,
right?
Nazo is heartless. He didn't even cry during sleeping in light. I don't even know which B5 episode is that.
Here, let's see. Scott asked when Star by Star came out relative to 9/11.
Ooh.
Yeah, I literally like a month later, not even, or less than 2 months later, October 30th, 2001.
Yeah, that's tragedy hitting you twice. Sheridan's last day. The final one. Okay, yeah. No, I didn't cry, but I did enjoy the episode. So don't.
Oh, is he talking about
Babylon 5?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Good series, by the way. Love it.
I love it too. It's a great series.
Anyway, shoot, where was I going with this? So yeah, I'll say that character's name later, but so we've got the Jedi still divided about this issue, and now like even someone who was on Luke's side, Twilight by the name of Daeshur Core,
right,
who was like, I guess she had a crush on Miko Reglia.
That's right. Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of what she was doing was based on her fear, because she's like, I used to be a slave and the Vong are enslaving, so now I have to. So she starts looking for extreme measures.
She wants to create a super weapon to destroy the Vong.
Yeah. No, she
plans for a super weapon. Yeah.
First, she starts she goes as far as to look for Quizooks.
Right.
Just to see if she can find another Sun Crusher.
You know what's funny about that? Sorry, I think this was the book that mentioned like the theory that there was like more than one eye of Palpatine. It's like, well, like there are two eyes, so
yeah. So you get off the idea that there could be a second eye of Palpatine out there.
That's right.
Yeah, but
Quizix got mind wiped. Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did, but she did actually remember a lot of things. And matter of fact, compared to Mara and Corrin, she still showed more sympathy to Kip Duran in Ruin than they did.
I know.
now, mind you, again, like I said, because we can't be too nice to Kip Duran, otherwise the fans might not like us. But
I love how you like just forgive Kip. You're just like, no, you know what?
I don't just I don't just
like, Corrin's a jackass.
Well, here's the thing. If I didn't forgive Kip, then I couldn't forgive Luke, because he also did horrible things. And I couldn't forgive Mara for the horrible things, and I couldn't forgive Corrin for working with the Empire back in the day.
Oh my
Where
God.
does it stop?
I just saw Scott's comment.
Could be a third eye
considering his son. That's perfect. Like 3 eyes of Palpatine. Like, why is there a third eye of Palpatine? It's like, have you heard of the story of Triclops the Brave? It's not a story that Palpatine would tell you.
Oh, nice. He blew up Krita. Boof. Yeah. And here's the thing. The biggest giveaway to me was the remorse he felt. I mean, he almost died getting rid of the Sun Crusher, launching it into a black hole.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you don't give him any credit for that, for trying to do the right thing? Nah, screw this 18-year-old kid who spent most of, was he 18 or 16? I can't remember. Screw this kid who,
so they mentioned he's 16 in the book, but he's actually 18.
Yeah, well, my point is, screw this young kid who's spent most of his life on Kessel because the Empire kidnapped his brother and tossed him and his parents there.
I mean, like, he was under the influence of a Sith Lord, right? So
yeah, I'm like, let's not have any sympathy for the kid at all. And that's one thing I can't abide when it comes to Timothy Zahn and Michael Stackpole, is how harsh they are on Kip Duran.
But I could see opinions like in universe being divided for Kip.
Well, it's funny. Jonathan mentioned that last stream, and I think that's why that's why Corrin is a little less judgmental of Kip, because he's had 10 years to think about it.
Right.
It's like, maybe I jumped the gun here, because he's, again, in the previous book he wasn't as judgmental. This one, him and Mara are a bit more. They're talking about closing like his jugular vein, and Luke's like, "Why are you doing this?" And they're like, "You're right. We shouldn't make jokes like." I'm like, "Yeah, you shouldn't make jokes like that." But yeah, like So that's my little Kip defense there.
No, I've always liked Kip Duran, so I'm right.
No, I do too, and they do eventually hunt Day Sherakor down. Obviously, Luke, Anakin, Mara, and they Mirax was there too, and then they had someone else. Forgot the name of the guy, but he was friends with Anakin a little bit. He was like an old smuggler type.
Old Peckham? No,
it wasn't Old Peckham, but he was kind of a forgettable character. He was really just there to help Anakin get past his, I guess, sort of blaming himself for what happened to Chewie a little bit.
Yeah.
And
also,
then
Nihilus says Corrin and Odo would get along well. I think that's the case. Yeah, both are cops too, right? So Odo's from Deep Space Nine.
I know of Odo, so I don't know Odo. But then you've got Leia going to Bastion to ask Pelion for help.
Yeah.
And Pelion immediately knows the score. He's like, yeah, we've been watching this situation very carefully. And like Leia's like, I have authorization for the New Republic to ask you help. And of course, the old Imperial Moffs are like, well, why should we help them? We wouldn't be in this mess if they hadn't removed our power. And then you have this young Moff who's like in Pelion's corner. I forgot his name, but he's straight up like, I didn't grow up during the time when you guys were fighting, but because of that, I'm not blind to old prejudices.
Right.
It's like we should be like, they've asked us for help. We should help.
Right.
If we're really the good power, if we're not the the Empire that was Palpatine back in the day. We should actually do something about it. And he pretty much did so at like at the embarrassment of the Moffs there, and like even Pelham was like, "Well, I'm glad you didn't like embarrass them too much. You got to let them have a little of their old Imperial pride." But
sure.
let's see, got more point. I got to check my notes again. Okay, then there's Corrin and Jason going to Garki, and there's more stuff between him and Yana Rysode and on how things should be done. Get like I forgot the name of the Vong there, but like one of the Vong there wants to fight Corrin, and another one, Ganner's like, I will fight on his behalf, and then like finish reading Tatooine Ghosts and Force. Yeah, those are decent, I guess. Well, Tatooine Ghosts I wasn't a big fan, but I did like Forest Apart.
I thought Tatooine Ghosts was kind of just like there, just boring.
It is. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's just kind of there.
Yeah.
It did cap off one character arc, which was Threkken Horn from Courtship of Princess Leia.
Right. Definitely Starfighters.
Yeah, I would do Starfighter. Wait, you've read the previous X-Wing books? I'm assuming you have, because otherwise, don't start with Starfighters. But like, there's that whole argument, and then like, best parts of Tatooine Ghost was Leia finding Shmi. Yeah, that was interesting. But you have what am I thinking of? You have God, I gotta look at the notes again because I lost my train of thought. You have one of the foot soldiers from the locals of Garki, like saying, like, no, we'll fight, and then one of them gets killed by the Vong, and it was kind of a goofy back and forth. I can't remember much of it, but that planet Garki is where they discovered the whole pollen weakness for the armor, and Corrin was straight up like, we got to burn this garden. And he's like, why are we burning this? This is like, is full of the weaknesses of the Vong's armor, and he's like, yeah, that's exactly why we got to burn it, because we need to hold on to this this sort of advantage. Sorry, hold on to this advantage as much as possible, save as many lives as possible. We can't have the enemy figure it out right away, because if they do,
right,
then they're just gonna find some way to adapt past it. They might even attack Ithor, since the pollen's the source of Ithor. And then in one of the fights with one of the Vong on Garki,
because the Von Dune crab armor like constricts and then kills them.
Yeah, right? Well, it's like an allergy basically, and it even affects the Vong a little bit. So,
right.
And Shadao Shai is like completely worried about this, because he's like, how do we handle this situation? Because this is a natural thing of nature, and it's doing something blasphemous to the gods. So he's like, I don't know how to handle this situation, but we may have to invade this planet, Ithor. Because when he finally figures it out, he's like, oh crap! Now we have to do something about this. He's like, oh, and tell nobody.
Right.
And then Garki had some really great surprises, because you had Jason and Corrin and all them finally escaping, and like there's a Vong fleet waiting for them, and they're like, oh crap. And then a New Republic force shows up, and then they're fighting them off, and then that New Republic force starts losing, and then the Empire pops in.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And it's like, yeah, we're here to assist you. And that's when we get introduced to another great character, Jagged Fell.
Yeah, for the first time, I think, in the EU.
Yeah, no, this was his
debut,
his first official appearance, and boy, did he make an entrance.
Yeah,
not just like shooting down fighters where he's like, hey, New Republic forces back off, we've got this handled. Or do I go back to 000? Yeah, I'd definitely try 000.
Nihilist says, "Can I skip the Calista trilogy?" Absolutely not. Those books are Dark
No,
Saber.
they're too vital.
Yeah, Dark
in my
Saber
opinion.
is incredibly vital. The other
Dark
two,
Saber is absolutely vital.
yeah,
They kill a movie character in that. I won't say who.
yeah. But also, Dark Saber explains like the state of the Empire going forward, basically up until even now, like the New Jedi Order. Like Dark Saber really sets the stage for everything that comes afterwards with the Empire.
I will say this because I know it's going to come again during this war. The Jedi Academy has been attacked three times now.
Yes.
Between was Jedi Outcast, it was attacked.
Yes.
Dark Saber, it was attacked.
Yes.
Was it attacked in the? No, it wasn't attacked in that trilogy. I thought it was attacked in the Jedi Academy trilogy, but it wasn't.
No, it was Dark Saber. I was like, it was the Night Hammer, and that's Dark.
That, and in Young Jedi Knights, it was attacked.
Yeah, that's right. I always consider like Dark Saber to be just an extension of the Jedi Academy trilogy because it's kind of is. It's like it's the sequel to those books.
Yeah, but
once by Desan, once in Dank Saber. I think Well, yeah, I guess Duron he didn't really attack the.
No, he didn't attack it. He didn't attack it. No, the third instance we're talking about Annihilus is in Young Jedi Knights when the Shadow Academy attacked.
It's by Brachus.
Brachus. But that's what Matt calls him, was Brachus.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't know if I like that pronunciation at all.
Brachus.
Brachus.
Do they go around assistance? What do you want? Oh god. Okay, enough B5 references, dude. Come on. All right. Oh yeah, and I was impressed, by the way, with Ganna Wright, or not Ganna Wright, but with Jagged Fell, because he went up and like shook the hands of like the military leaders, like completely skipped Phalia and the New Republic Council. Like, they're politicians. I'm not shaking their hands. Like, oh, you're just another bigot. You probably got all these chists, as your slaves or something. He's like,
right.
Where I come from, I live in Chiss space. Humans are actually the minority, and I earned my position. So he basically like berated them in public too, and kind of gave them. And I think even Morden moment. Nice.
Morden moment, yeah. What do you want? Oh man.
I already know my answer to that question, but excuse me. Anyway, but yeah, just seeing him like berate them, and I think even Pelion and Crayfee were smiling at it, and Wedge greeting his nephew, that was nice. Like, I actually greeted him an hour earlier. It was nice to meet him. It was kind of interesting to hear Jag's perspective. Is like, where I come from, we don't really get into the whole emotional thing, even with my parents. But my uncle was like very open, wanted to talk to me. I'm like, that's cool. And Wedge is like, I want to hear, how's your life been? How's your mom?
What's crazy about that? Like the how's your mom? Like the last time Wedge would have seen his sister was during the Rogue Squadron comics.
Yeah.
And then she just goes missing. And he never sees her again. That's devastating.
Yeah. I mean, he had his things, like, he had Ayala and his friends to kind of comfort him, but yeah, that was obviously hard. Nobody talks about hard. Come on, baby, give me a kiss. Okay, but there was that, and this is the part that made me like Ganna Rysode, because the dude actually developed humility. He got a scar on Garki, and like he was normally like a handsome, pretty boy, and Jason's asking him, like, well, you could easily heal that scar. He's like, why? It's like, no, I want this on my face. I want to remember this to keep me humble, because I was very prideful. I was not thinking. I was acting without thinking. Is like, and suddenly he realizes like what Kip is doing. It's not the way. He says like there were many times I thought Luke and Corran were weak. They could have easily taken me down. They could have easily berated me. They let me hold on to my pride even though I didn't deserve it. Oh hey Alex.
Hello, Alex.
Like they let him hold on to his dignity even though he didn't and it woke him up. And I'm like, good. Very good. And from that point on he was buddy backup Corran.
Yeah. I
which
love that.
I liked.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, Ganner Rysode kind of reminds me of Raynor Thull. He just gives off that same kind of like arrogant energy. But
I did kind of notice that.
Yeah. In fact,
because Raynor was that pompous kid from Alderaan.
Yeah, and it's so much
so.
Hey,
how you doing? I'm
Brennan.
good. I'm good. Marcel, good to see you. It's good to see you guys. Nice of you to pop in. Trulies.
So much so that when I was a kid, I thought they were the same character, and then I realized after a while, I'm like, oh wait, Ganner Rysode's a different character.
I think Ganner Rysode was based on Raynor Thull.
Yeah,
at least to some degree.
I think so.
It was a way of paying respect to Kevin without actually acknowledging Kevin, which is weird.
Right. I was happy to see that they brought Deshara Kor kind of like back from the brink.
Oh yeah, no, because she realized just how much she had screwed up.
Yeah.
She's like, I was willing to use the same weapons that had like enslaved me under the people like me under the Empire, just to fight the Vong, and even she's realizing, no, this is not the way. Right. I think her and Luke had like a long talk about it, so it's and it was nice.
It kind of sucks to like, bring her back just to kind of kill her off, but
yeah, because it wasn't until the Battle of Ithor, but when she has a nice. I thought it was great that she had that final talk with Anakin. She's like, I don't blame you for what you did, and I don't think Chewie would blame you either.
Yeah, in the med facility, I think I remember that.
Yeah. And then I think we're getting to Battle of Dantooine or Battle of Ithor, and one of the details that the Jedi have to do is they all have to kind of give up something. And at least for right now, Jason gives up his whole identity crisis crap. I don't know if that'll pick up later in the next couple books, but
I won't say anything.
I know. He gives it up there. Luke decides, like, I've been holding too much responsibility again. I'm going to trust all of you to do the right thing, even when it's which was nice, which was good. And even Kip Duran, who claimed to be giving up pride, so who knows? Ganner definitely is like, yeah, I give up pride because I've had a little too much of it lately. I'm like, yeah, Ganner, and Worth Skidder like, I give up weakness.
Thanks, Worth.
Thanks, Worth. Great contribution there.
Thanks. Where does Luke find these guys? They're all like Gantoris, every single student.
Worth Skidder definitely reminds me of Gantoris. I don't know about Kip Duran. Kip Duran, I think he's just carrying the guilt. I think some, and he kind of did learn a little during the Battle of Ithor, but I don't think he's quite there yet. But I see Ganner Raynor connection. I prefer Raynor. We were just talking. We were just talking about that sort of connection.
That's interesting.
That it was.
I don't know who I prefer. I think Ganner has some good moments.
Ganner definitely has. It's this. I'm glad that Michael decided to change him, because at the beginning of the first novel he was kind of insufferable.
Yeah.
But like the fact that he went back for Corran showed me, okay, so you've got potential. And then he's like, no, I've been a jerk this entire time and I didn't even realize it. That was a nice change.
Yeah.
And then you had preparations for the Battle of Ithor, between Pelion, Crayfee, Phalia, and Phalia, as always, is trying to cause in the mix. But
the crazy thing is, like, Phalia's there to observe the battle. He's
yeah,
there. How can
Raynar, what a Chad.
Yeah, he's a Chad. How can you not be convinced of the threat that the Yuuzhan Vong pose? They're literally like right there in your face. You see the devastation that they wreak.
It's not that he doesn't, but he's still obsessed. Like, the New Republic must look strong in this crisis. We must lead the charge. And Crayfee's like, I told you not to involve politics, and he straight up says, Thalia wants me to remove you from command. And then Pelion's like, well, did you give them the order? He's like, yes, I've given them the order. All Imperial troops will withdraw from Ithor. And then Crayfee asks, like, plus I'll threaten to pull the military if you get involved. We had a deal. And then Phalia tries to have his Bothan guards arrest him. And the Bothan guards, they're like, they know the score. They're like, yeah, no.
When I was a kid, the thought of Ithor potentially being destroyed was very distressing to me, because I just remember seeing like the Ithorian Momon Nadon in Mos Eisley Cantina, like my first. And like and then just learning that they're like a peaceful race of like pacifists, and they're not pacifists, but like they're all like botanists essentially. They like just growing plants and
they love nature and plants and.
It's just such a devastating, and like of all the planets that the Yuuzhan Vong might target, Ithor is like maybe the least offensive to them in many ways, because I mean, I know they still use technology, but it's like a plant planet.
Well, and none of this will probably tell me about that, but like to quote Javik from Mass Effect 3, stand in the ashes of a trillion dead souls and ask the ghosts if honor matters. The silence is your answer.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Now like when you're depressed.
when you're facing an enemy like that.
Yeah.
Now, and mind you, the Vong are supposed to be pro-nature.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, the Vong are supposed to be pro-nature, and the fact that they're willing to attack this world because it has one potential weakness.
Yeah.
It shows you just kind of how extreme the danger is.
Yeah.
And that's, you're like, why are they attacking a world of botanists? Of people who've like they've never started any problem in their entire life in the galaxy. Children are dying, the injustice of the world hide in those three words. Yeah.
Malazan, yeah.
Malazan, Book of the...
Or Malazan, as it's...
I do plan on checking those books out, Alex. I'm hoping to see you at Legends Expo, because I'd like to give you a copy of Berserk.
What do you mean copy of Berserk? You mean like just like the first volume?
Yeah, well, they have them in black hardcovers.
Oh yeah, I've seen like the 14-volume set.
Yeah, I have all 14 volumes, so I want to. But if I know Alex is going to be there, I want to buy a volume for him.
Wow.
Hell, really if Matt is going to be there, I'll buy him a volume.
Yeah.
Okay, back to my points.
The Battle of Ithor.
The Battle of Ithor and all that goes down there, and Jaina losing her best friend, or the squad mate, Annie Capison. And just the kind of pain she goes through there. I forgot to mention earlier that back on Garki, Jason, new comments. Yeah, so I gotta probably be busy when it's happening, but I appreciate it. It's really generous. Like,
maybe you guys can meet up, like, I don't know, afterwards or that weekend or something.
That would be cool. Yeah, because I would. But I don't know if he's willing to come down to California again.
Alex, he lives in California.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, I don't think that's like
used up most of my vacation to see Brent. Aww.
I didn't just dox him. Like I don't think that's like a.
Well, I didn't know Alex lived in California. I'm from
Cali.
Oh shoot, dude! At some point we got to hang out.
Yeah.
But basically, just like what she lose, and even Kip Duran like gets a little injured in that battle. Nah, that's public. Okay.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was. I was like, oh, wait, no, but
wait, did I just dox him? Oh.
California is like one of the biggest states in the United States. It'd be impossible to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys should definitely meet up though.
Yeah, we should. I mean, we met up at the first Legends Con, so it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, DM me, man. Yeah, definitely at some point. But actually, heck, even if we can't meet up, just send me your address. I'll just buy a Berserk volume and send it there.
That's really nice,
but,
man.
Dude, I've been trying to get people into Berserk. I've gotten a couple people into it already.
I love Berserk. Yeah, it's one of my favorite mangas.
I did not know that. At some point, I'm going to start doing live streams about Berserk too, and now I want you on it.
Yeah.
We're going to get a little vulgar. Because we're going to be discussing a lot of the darker themes. But yeah, anyway.
Alex,
another stream.
Did you not meet him at Legends Con? Anyways, that's fine.
Yeah, we did meet at Legends Con. I think we didn't hang out all that much though, because he was talking to you and Brennan most of the time. You guys were kind of lobbied together, talking together, and then Michael Stagpole just walks right past. That was funny.
That's insane.
Alex will be with me in person for the third time on this Thursday. I'm very nice. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
It'll be very cool to see you again one day, Naza. Yeah, if I can ever get out of this crappy state. No offense, Alex. But anyway, yeah, like just Battle of Ithor, like Kip Duran, like Mara basically telling him like, yeah, you need to get Daeshara, help Anakin get Daeshara out of here because you're injured, you're losing strength, you need just go.
Yeah.
And Marcel, of course, too. Wish you were closer to me, but yeah,
it's nice.
It's nice to hear from friends again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know the Battle of Ithor was brutal, and then it kind of sort of came to a close when after losing our boy Elagos, him turning all gem and crystallize, he agrees to the term, and he agrees to the term of a duel to determine the fate of Ithor.
Yep. I'm gonna actually let me see if I can.
Oh, you're gonna pull up the artwork?
I'm gonna pull up the artwork. Just there's so much. Like this is one of my favorite moments in the EU. But here, let me see if I can share screen. You might need.
That's fine.
Share screen.
I'm on my phone, so I don't know how to make that happen.
Share. Might just let me do it, or maybe not. Oh, you have to like add it in. It's like when you add someone to the stream.
Oh, I see. Wrap. Scenes, style. What is this? Scenes. Demo 1, demo 2. Okay. Style. Sorry, we're just looking through this.
No, it's not one of the settings. It's like at the bottom. I think you like when you add someone into the stream.
Oh, okay. But most have seen this artwork, and I think it's from the Central Chronology, isn't it?
Yeah, there's two pieces of artwork. There's the one where Korn fights Shadao Shai, and then there's good to see Alex. And then
Alex Lyricman.
There's one where it's Daeshara Core, and I forget who is it.
Send me that. Send me that photo.
Yeah. Okay, I will. Copy image.
No, not that. I was telling Brennan. Says I have a great photo of me, Alex, and Nazo together. But yeah, send me that, please. DM it to me at some point.
About me.
No. Send me the other photo, obviously, so I can see what you're talking about.
Yeah, I just sent it to you on Discord, but you can take a look at it later. But
Okay.
yeah, there's some great artwork, and the one of Korn fighting Shadao Shai. Shadao Shai looks like a predator. He looks like Shredder from the Ninja Turtles, but
A little bit in that artwork, yeah. But
Korn has like his whole kind of like almost like samurai stance, and they're fighting on like a cliff top, and there's lightning going on in the background and rain.
yeah, it was a storm, and you had backgrounds with Dane Lien and Luke, who are just kind of like witnesses to the battle. And Luke, this entire time, he's trying to warn him. He's like, "I don't think this duel is a good idea because this could lead you to the dark side, especially after losing Elagos." Yeah. And I think this is what Michael was trying to tell me about, or trying to allude to, where he gets that moment where he gets close to the dark side, and he kind of does.
Yeah.
Because obviously he wins the duel.
Yeah.
That's Marcel repping the superior Japanese NJO art in the background. Yeah, that art is superior. If they ever do the Essential Legends collection, they need to do that art.
I don't see why they won't. Yeah, they should. I
will accept no other.
I used to. None of this AI art. We need the Nagano covers for.
No, just give us the Nagano. Vector Prime, in my opinion, is a great start in NJO, but was Darktide really hooked? Yeah, I was hooked by Vector Prime, but Darktide is just making me curious as to what's happening next.
Brennan, I made the exact same point earlier in the stream. I was like, Vector Prime was good, but Darktide was like.
Thank you, Brennan.
They're like two of my favorite books in the NJO, maybe like a top 5 for me books.
By the way, Brennan, Alex, next time I do one of these, if any of you guys, if we can work out a day, and Marcel too, anybody wants to, if we can work out, because it's going to be in these evenings anyway. But if anybody wants to, just let me know. After I finish the Agents of Chaos, just let me know. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so he beats Shadao Shai, and then you find out Dane Lien is working for, spoilers, here's the big surprise, Savang Law.
War Master. Yeah.
War Master Savang Law. And I knew a little about him because they showed his picture, and partially because of Matt's reviews and partially because of Invasion.
Yeah.
I know he's one of the big bads. He's not quite Shimra, but he's at least someone who rivals Nama Nor as far as importance.
We have a picture of him in the new Essential Guide to Characters.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can Google it. War Master Savang. Well, don't Google it until you actually meet him.
Well, I have met him through a Villip, but that's close enough. But yeah, no. When they said that he was working for someone, it was someone in political power. My first thought was Nama Nor, or potentially. Actually, I didn't even consider Savang Law until they. So I'm like, oh, Savang Law. Okay, not Nama Nor. I was thinking that, but then it hit after it showed. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense because he's also in some position of political power.
Yeah,
considering he's War Master.
Yeah,
but
the War Master. He's the big cheese. Well, I mean, not necessarily, but like he is the biggest cheese you've met to date.
Yeah, but then so then he has Dane Lien drop I guess you could say it was like acid, like sort of substance that was like killing not only Shadao Shai's body, but like it started spreading to like other so basically killing Ithor with a poison.
Right, and at this point, like Shadao Shai's been killed by Korran. Korran wins the battle. He impales.
Yeah. No, yeah. Savang Law is such a fun name.
Yeah. Brennan says.
I think one of his descendants is in Legacy, or one of his cousins, anyway, or something like that. But yeah, like then they start poisoning Ithor's atmosphere, and you get that final battle when the what was the name of the ship? It was like the Destiny of Death or something like that.
Yeah, that honestly, I gotta say, like that is just devastating to me that they actually poisoned Ithor. That's how I knew. I was like, wow, these books have like real consequences.
Yeah, no, because again, like Ithor's, it's gone. Like the fact that and this is what hurts the most is the fact that God, the fact that Thalia is able to pin it on Corn Horn like so easily. Like he's managed to turn the press as like a frenzy against Corn Horn and the Jedi, saying like, the man who was once the savior as Ithor 5 minutes ago is now the destroyer of Ithor, and
It's so scummy how he does that and causes Corn to basically go into exile.
Well, here's the thing I liked about that. I liked that Corn willingly went.
Yeah.
That he's
yeah, for sure.
He basically told Jason, Luke, Ganner, you need to turn against me. You need Luke. You never approved of this action, even if you were backing me up at the time. Say you never liked it, you never agreed with it, you never approved it. I need you to abandon me.
He did the honorable thing, right? He did
exactly, and it just gave me like, I'm like, wow, this dude who had so much ego before, literally just said, "Trash my name."
Well, it just shows you the growth that he's had since the X-Wing.
Yeah, it's the decade since I Jedi. He's like grown into a really good. He's grown into a Jedi, a true Jedi.
Well, think of what's happened since that time, right? He had a kid or two kids,
Yeah.
I think. I forget how old Gisela is, but he had Valen because Valen was
Valen
referenced in the Hand of Thrawn duology, which takes place like 4 or 5 years before this. And so he's had a kid, at least one, if not two. He's seen, just like his best friend or one of his best friends get like brutally murdered, or he didn't see it, but he saw the aftermath.
Yeah. And during that fight with Shadao Shai, he did kind of slip into the dark side a little bit.
Yeah. Well, hey, nobody's perfect.
True. But he I think he finally like he had already kind of figured it out before, but like he finally felt it and realized just how bad that place is. Because it's one like because he kind of had that in I Jedi a little bit, and then a little more in Dark Tide. But I think when you finally experience it, you actually feel how bad it is.
Yeah.
And I think even if it was just for a brief moment during his fight with Shadao Shai, I think he felt it and he realized this would not be honoring to Elagos. I can't do this. Yeah. I would be betraying everything that I am and everything that I've become as a Jedi. And to me, that's way more noble because again, he's letting people spit on his name and still saying, by the way, when the crap hits the fan, if you need me, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have grown, Corran. You have grown into like
into one of your favorite characters.
I liked him, but he's pretty much starting to become a favorite with me now.
I'm happy to hear it. Well, I mean, and yeah, so I guess overall, what were your thoughts on this duology?
Well, most of the time when I do books, I either give it an X for bad, a plus for mid, and a check mark for good. Both of these got check marks.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been with them. And again, just a little more detail. I like that Pelion and Crayfee are like, let's hope we get a next time.
Right. Because things are heating up. Yeah, things are heating up.
They're like, we may not get a next time at this. Now let's hope we do, because I'd love to work with you again. And I'm like, I love that. I kind of love that little duet that they do between Crayfee and Pelion. Like they work well together and they defer to each other's judgment.
Well, and it's almost it's like two military men who respect one another.
Yeah.
And you love to see it, because think of like the fact, like Pelion is like he's the old man of the Empire, right? Like he's like this really honorable military man, like officer, and it's just like you would have never imagined like the Thrawn's right hand man in the Thrawn trilogy would one day be standing alongside like a New Republic admiral and like working together with him. It's bonkers.
Yeah, and again, Crayfee is a younger guy. He's younger than he's younger than Phalia, but because he's a military man, he knows the score, and he knows that Pelion is incredibly experienced. So he's like, I defer to your judgment. You're in command. I'll follow your lead. We'll do it. We'll do what needs to be done. And Pelion, because he's an aged military man, he understands things and he's humble about it. He doesn't parade, and you can tell like he's like he even says he respects Pelion. Is like, I know you have like no racism or xenophobia in you. You are just a man trying to do what's right, both by your empire and by our new republic. And that's something that I love it. It's definite growth of characters that I've seen grow as people throughout their story. And again, Crayfee is a relatively new character, and like I already like him.
Yeah,
I'm worried though, because I think he's gonna die.
I think Stackpole does characters really well.
Yeah, no, him and Alston do characters, which is why I'm looking forward to Enemy Lines when I get to that, because that's going to be post Star by Star, and Star by Star is definitely one I want to see you on.
Oh, yeah, we'll see about that. That's a big book. That's a long book. There's a lot to unpack there, and I probably, ironically, remember it less well than Dark Tide, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, again, I'll be taking notes on this. Anytime I do one of these, I take notes.
Yeah. And
I talk about the moments, and if anything, all I'm really doing is blasting in your head. Hey, do you remember this?
It's true. You've unlocked core memories here. I remember.
Well, that's again because this is my first time. I like the fact that I'm talking to people who have read these books before. Yeah. And we can compare ideas and what we thought of this part. And, well, and again, like my last stream I did with Jonathan Cohn, and he and I didn't agree on every aspect of Vector Prime.
Right.
But at the same time, we both realized, yeah, this is a pretty enjoyable book. Like,
for sure.
And the same goes with these. Michael Stackpole, again, knocked it out of the park with these books.
Yeah. I think I even got the first one, maybe both of them signed at Legends Con. I know I got at least one of them signed at Legends Con.
I regret that I only had comics now, because if he ever comes to Legends Expo, please sign this. You were right. You were right. Corrin's great. Thank you.
I got to get myself one of those. One of the Dark Tide duology books.
I can send you. See if I can find some like Amazon or eBay links. I can send you. See if you can.
Sure. Definitely. If you come across one, definitely send it my way.
I did find another Force Heretic trilogy on there, on eBay. It's like $200, but it's because you're getting a hardcover, so it might actually be well worth the price.
If it's $200 in American dollars, that's like 300 Canadian dollars, so it's that much more money.
Yeah, but you have to ask the question: is it worth the price? Because it still has its dust jacket on.
Well, the thing
is, it looks like it's in good condition.
It's not going to go down in price, right? Like it's. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to go down, but it's like these things are only going to become rarer over time, right?
Yeah. Like I lucked out because I happened to find one on Amazon that said, even though it didn't have the picture of it, that said hardcover of Force Heretic, and I'm like, okay, I'm buying this while it's still cheap. And I lucked out on that one. And yeah, like again, like especially on eBay, they're getting harder and harder to come by and buy. But I'm at least the hardcovers I'm trying to get are the duology and the trilogy ones, so I can at least cross those off. Because again, it's easy to get most of the single books. Like Balance Point for hardcover on Amazon is like $16-17.
I have all of the original, like the 5 that were originally in hardcover. I have those ones in hardcover, which I got as a kid when they came out, right? But I could have signed up for the Sci-Fi Book Club, because I would love Trader in hardcover. That's the GOAT for me, that book.
I think they have Trader in hardcover. It's just it's a pretty price, unless you look on like eBay or something.
Yeah, the problem is I like to see pictures, right? Like, so I want to see like how good condition it is, because if I'm going to shell over something like
Well,
100,
most eBay people, like, they'll actually show you pictures.
eBay is good about that. Amazon, sometimes it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
Um,
But I paid for a hardcover for Force Heretic on Amazon for like 45 something. So if that's not a hardcover, I'm going to complain. I'm going to scream.
yeah, I mean, for sure, you definitely should. But yeah,
I mean, the picture was paperback, but like I'm pretty sure it's hardcover because like if you lie on that, that's false advertisement, and I'm like, I want my money back.
you're gonna have to keep us posted in terms of whether or not you got a hardcover.
Well, I'm trying. If I don't get any other series, I'm trying to at least get NJO in hardcover.
It's the one to get, in my opinion. It's
yeah.
the crown
And
jewel of the expanded universe.
I thought it was in Destiny's Way, but my buddy Annihilus set me straight. I have to get a paperback version of the first book in Dark Nest because it has Eulesia in it. I thought it was going to be in Destiny's Way, but it's not in Destiny's Way.
Is it the Legends banner version of it? Because I think I have the original Dark Nest, and I'm not sure if it has Eulesia in it, although I can double check.
Not Legends banner, just because I don't want a mass market paperback. I want just a regular paperback that has it in it. Because he showed me his regular paperback and it had Eulesia in it. So
I'll double check. Yeah, you might be right about that. Actually, I'm gonna double check. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for me. I don't have anything more to say about these books other than that I enjoyed them. They were shocking and really just kind of set the tone for the rest of the series, in my opinion.
Well, in my opinion, Vector Prime set the tone, but like, Dark Tide definitely continued it and brought it to a higher spectrum.
Yes.
And it wasn't just like, because again, it's just like with Chewie, Han mentioned the bubble in Vector Prime, and it's the same kind of burst bubble here because most of the worlds being affected were like no-named worlds like, Dubrillion and even though Dantooine we know from A New Hope, but like all these Outer Rim worlds were the ones who are being hit, and then Ithor gets hit. And it's not exactly I don't think it's exactly Outer Rim. I think it's more Mid Rim. And so that's how you know the progression is getting worse with this war. That it's going to get worse before it even gets close to getting better for anybody.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking forward to Agents of Chaos. I'm only like a chapter into that because I've been waiting to talk about Dark Tide. I didn't want to jump into it before I'm like, okay, let's get all these things out of me.
I wasn't a huge fan of Agents of Chaos when I first read it, but I think I would very much enjoy it.
Even if I'm not a huge fan of it, I know I'm still going to end up liking it because from what I've heard from most people, when it comes to the NJO books specifically, even the worst books in that series are the best.
I think people tend to think like NJO is sacrosanct and it could do no wrong, but there are certainly some books that I think are kind of really, really meh. But you haven't reached them yet, and you won't for a while.
I really hope you're not talking about Enemy Lines.
No, Enemy Line. Aaron Alston's always a treat.
Okay.
I'll Force Heretic. I thought.
Yeah, that's what my buddy Caleb said. He said that Force Heretic is kind of mid until the last book.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of like expecting that, and then
it just kind of kills the momentum of like an otherwise, like, in my opinion, incredible series. Yeah,
it probably does. And I'll when I get to those eventually, I'll give you my honest thoughts. Once we get to those. But in the meantime, it's on to Agents of Chaos.
Enjoy.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward. Well, thank you. I can't thank Netcat because he's already in bed and asleep, but I will thank him. Please I got to give him a plug too. Please follow, subscribe, watch Netcat on social media, YouTube. Same with Marcel, who does wonderful expanded universe short stories and narrations on YouTube. If you can't follow him anywhere else, try to friend him on Discord because he is a great guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him at the 2023 Legends Con. Our own personal Dave Filoni. I'm kidding. So I got to go by that joke, but
oh man, I'm gonna shave my beard off.
Oh no, come on, you look good with it. But no, that's basically like follow him, subscribe. I gotta get all the plugs in anyway. But
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. You can. I think my channel is called like Revanchist or the Revenge. What is it? The Revanchist.
Revanchist. I always say Revanchist because that's. But it could be Revanchist. I'm not too sure.
I think it's actually Revanchist. But anyways, nonetheless, you can pronounce it however you want. My is on YouTube is @ Star Wars Narrator, all one word.
Yeah, I think I linked you in. You'll be linked in the thing.
I saw that. Thank you.
So people will be able to follow your channel. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing see you pop up on other ones and seeing what you'll produce next when you find the time.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was great. Anytime you want to come back on and talk about it, man, we'd love it.
Cheers.
All right. Thank you once again, Marcel. Have a good night, my friend.